Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Warming up. Manually resharing our links. Okay, YouTube is running. Oh yeah. Okay, I can see the Facebook link. Manually resharing. Bad YouTube.
Huh?
No, bad Facebook.
What do you mean?
Trying to have me reshare it to a friend who passed away.
Oh, okay.
Strange. Mhm. We had some renovation done in the house today.
Oh my god.
Cost some money, but you
I
know,
don't know if that was like the greatest of ideas, because then it was like the middle of the workday. We both had meetings.
yeah. But when?
Yeah, I know. It's just we want to get it done again, which is funny that yeah, it's like
Do we have it done on the day we have to go to the
it
grocery?
was so hot.
Do we have it done on a weekend when we would rather relax?
So hot. Melting.
It's the
So
it's part of the. No,
hmm?
you're supposed to fill it up daily.
No. Oh, ideally, yeah. I'm ignorant because I'm just trying to figure out like how do I schedule the second slot or do I just show up?
Mm,
That's the question.
you didn't ask.
I'll have to message the page.
Ah.
I'm just kumbaga, on the app itself. I can't see the schedule.
Yeah, but I mean, after the vaccination.
No, they just said your next shot is on this date,
Mm,
but then they don't say like please schedule in the system. They just say it's on this date. Well, there is Facebook. Urim is there, so
yeah, hey, Urim.
maybe it just took a while to render.
Hey, Noel.
Sometimes you have to refresh
Hey, Mitch.
because the view of you have of Facebook at any one time is somewhat a cached version already
Mm-mm,
until you trigger a page refresh or a scroll.
mm-mm.
Then it starts to load new assets. Assets.
What?
Hmm. Hmm.
So we'll be starting in a few. We can start in a minute.
Yeah.
Moving? What's moving? Noel mentioned moving.
He's moving to Facebook.
Ah, mabuhay ulit.
Busy Tuesday.
So just be warned, it's 9:10. So we never know if the dreaded interruption will happen again. But I guess we might as well start.
Okay.
So the timer is starting, and we'll be right back after this intro.
Wait.
Oh yeah! Really great!
And we're back. This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
It's completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. This episode is another requested episode, right?
Yes, it is. Somewhere there. There was many people who requested
Mhm.
this.
But this is episode 202, and it's all about starting a new hobby. You're getting the name?
Yeah, I know it's like Noel and I think it's Noel and Kenny
Mm-hmm.
who did variations of it this week.
But it's given it's a pandemic, and not only during the time of pandemic, how does one get into something new? How does one dive into a new form of geekery? Some tips, some do's and don'ts. We'll try to tackle them all.
Sorry, my mom's messaging. Okay, I'm just gonna. Okay, all right. So you know how it is. If it's a family, you have to look. So actually, I feel like we're in the golden age of learning hobbies. Not even because it's a pandemic,
Mhm.
but more that there's just so many resources out there for learning things.
Mhm.
Before, I feel like hobbies really took a lot more work, or at least a lot more access within your network, or so to speak. And then the easiest barrier to like getting into a hobby is most likely finding someone else who's in the hobby
Yes.
and celebrating it together or learning it together and things like that. So whether it was the two of you reading an RPG book
Mhm.
on your own, or someone else teaching you how to play a sport, I mean, there was a very strong in-person social aspect to learning a hobby.
Mhm.
But then now, oh my gosh, there's just so many options. So yeah,
Now also has this weird aspect where people try to find out how much others liked it before they try something.
there is that.
I mean, it used to be, you like swimming, you go swimming, and then someone might be, hey, you swim. Okay, I'll try swimming. Now it's, so is swimming fun? Because I have friends who swim, and I don't know if I should.
This sounds like our OBAR conversations. But I've always wanted to go to
But
OBAR.
diba, there is that aspect nowadays because you see it everywhere. You see people asking, should I start watching this series?
Hmm.
You have people asking, fun ba yung game? And
Well, and we have social media to blame for that, where we now
Yes.
we've been conditioned to validate all of our choices
Mhm.
through externally, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, like, there is some value in consulting with your peers or your social circles
Uh-huh,
to get
uh-huh.
more info. Why are you like that? Why are you like an In the Heights song?
Sorry. Yes, in that. Go on.
No.
There's also the aspect wherein people feel every hour counts, and having been burned by certain shows, we're not singling out Game of Thrones, where you might invest hours of your life enjoying the series, nor lost. Um, some people just want to make sure that if they invest their time on something, the payoff in the end is worth it.
But that's like very media specific.
Mhm.
We also see it in the hobby front, but then yeah, we especially see it on the media front. But let's focus on hobbies.
Yeah, so when it comes to hobbies, it's like, should I spend on this, or should I invest on this? Should I start spending on this book series? Should I
Okay.
pay for this game line because I don't know if I really like it? Then don't buy it. Yeah, but there is that aspect nowadays.
And is it because there are so many choices? I mean, like, there's no shortage of things to do. Therefore, it's very quick to like. I mean, like, then you can stretch yourself thin very quickly. So I guess if people are weighing on whether to invest time into something, then there's always that they're trying to minimize risk essentially.
So
What?
Mitch is asking, no definition.
No.
So what is a hobby? And what makes something a hobby?
Go. If you want to, okay, go. Go. Go define.
I don't know. I think a hobby is anything that you really enjoy doing and
You
doesn't
don't
necessarily earn you money.
you don't typically know. You like looking it up. Come on, go look it up.
I haven't looked at that.
That's why go look it up. You're going to want to look it up. If we're going to go into the definition game, go look it up.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
See again.
Okay. So, as mentioned in Wikipedia, a hobby is considered to be a regular activity that is done for enjoyment, typically during one's leisure time. This includes collecting themed items, oh, this is so dated, and objects, engaging in creative and artistic pursuits, playing sports, or pursuing other amusements. Participation in hobbies encourages acquiring substantial skills and knowledge in the area. A list of hobbies changes with renewed interests and developing fashions, making it diverse and lengthy. So yeah, hobbies tend to follow trends in society. For example, stamp collection was popular in the 19th and 20th century because postal services still existed as a major means of communication, while video games are now more popular with the following of technological advances. Would you say participating in online trends and TikTok challenges a hobby?
If you do it for amusement, then you can. And so I think some people treat that aspect of social media or TikToking
Mm-hmm.
as an activity. So yeah, it's totally a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, your average TikToker is not earning money from that. So so it's definitely for amusement.
Now, the Wikipedia adds hobbyists can be identified under three subcategories: casual leisure, which is intrinsically rewarding, short lived, pleasurable activity requiring little or no preparation. Grabe ng definition. Serious leisure, which is the systematic pursuit of an amateur hobbyist or volunteer that is substantial, rewarding, and results in a sense of accomplishment. And finally, project based leisure, which is a short term, often one off project that is rewarding.
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting definition.
So, serious leisure tends to be geekery stuff because you really dive into it, you really
Or knitting.
invest on it, you really have that sense of accomplishment. Whereas intrinsically rewarding casual leisure, I guess, is like, stuff you'll try on the side or.
I did a crossword puzzle today. It
And I'll
was
now,
fulfilling.
and I'll now try puzzles every now and then, but I'm
Yeah.
not like buying a book on crossword puzzles.
And project based could be as maybe as one off as I bought a 2,000 piece puzzle and I just want to finish this puzzle.
And then you don't think.
And
of
then
the
after
puzzle.
it, yeah, you're not gonna do it again.
That's,
So
that's possible. Noel mentions, natawa ako sa reaction niya sa definition. Well, it's interesting how they tried to word it.
they meant me complaining about going into definition.
Mhm.
And ako naman, it's okay. It's just that it was just weird. You're not trying to define it out of the air when normally your default is you're gonna pull up some webpage.
So the term hobby comes from the 16th century hobbin, which means a small horse or pony. The term hobby horse was documented in 1557. Payment confirmation of a hobby horse from Reading, England. The item, originally called a tourney horse, was made of a wooden or basketwork frame with an artificial tail and head. It was designed for a child to mimic riding a real horse.
Jed asks, if you make money from it, does it still count as a hobby? It depends if you are doing it for the money or doing it for
For fun,
amusement.
because sometimes the money can just be bonus.
It could be incidental.
Yeah.
Then it's like I blog a lot, sort of as a hobby.
And if you're collecting from ads,
yeah,
that
then
doesn't mean it's no longer a hobby.
Yeah, it's not the main reason why I do
But
it.
if you're blogging so focused to try to generate ads, and you
Generate clicks.
you,
and
you
stuff.
really design your posts to get that effect, then it's less a hobby now and more.
A job.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's not so much whether you earn money or not, but whether you find enjoyment out of it.
Mhm.
And that's why I feel like, oh my god, it's the past few years has just made it easier and easier to get into hobbies. And I use my father as an example because even in his later years, he has had ample opportunity to like get into so many different things.
Mhm.
And he I feel like he's a good example of like a researcher. Like whenever something sparks his interest, like maybe I could get into blank,
Mm-hmm.
then he he goes deep.
Mm-hmm.
He will, watch a bunch of YouTube videos about it. So there's that sort of research on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually he'll want to, at least his approach is very social in the sense that he's going to look for forums
Yeah.
to participate in.
Communities.
Yeah, communities, and then to talk to other people who share the hobbies that they can share information and share tips and connections. And then it gets into the practical experiment because typically these are a lot of like very
Mhm.
physically driven hobbies, ranging from 3D printing to painting those models, which are
Mhm.
in a way related but still two different activities. Um, and then it just cycles. And
Well,
yeah.
could it be possible that his hobby is trying hobbies? No, no. I mean,
It, I
there
don't
are.
necessarily think it's the hobby in itself, but if we go through it, he just cycles through
Yeah, because there are
because it
people.
ebbs and flows with interests.
There are people who do like trying new things.
But to be
And
fair, he doesn't. I think I wouldn't put it on that level only
Okay.
because then he would do more. Then he would do a lot more than what he's doing now. But then he has like long stretches of things, and then actually he's accumulated a bunch of new skills to varying degrees of importance. So
Now, as mentioned in the article, well, in the Wikipedia page, hobbies do change and evolve through the
mm-mm.
passage of time as you mature, as you get into different interests. And um, I think what people sometimes fail to realize is they're already into certain hobbies, and they just don't realize, because I guess parang if you got so used to doing certain things, you don't count it as a hobby, and you start thinking, I don't have any hobbies. But then when you ask them, so what do you normally do? Well, I read,
I
or
watch Netflix.
I like walking and ganyan, diba? And you're starting to realize, but wait, those are your hobbies.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, but I just normally do that. I don't like do it as a hobby. And there is that interesting angle to it. Because like many have identified hobbies to have an external aspect.
Mm.
Yung parang, if you just like stargazing, then that's not a hobby. But if you buy a telescope and if you ganyan, that's the only
Okay.
time it counts as a hobby because you're
That's
now.
a sad. But I get the logic sort of like then it feels like you started to invest in it and
Mm-mm.
then it becomes something more serious. But no, but I feel like even just the experiments, the explorations, then is already like you're already starting on a hobby.
Mhm.
So I guess yeah. So kind of using that framework then, like if I were to my although I'm definitely in the camp of I don't feel like I'm trying a lot of new things in my life only because my existing hobbies dominate a significant portion of my life. Like
Mhm.
I read a lot, and I'm not gonna stop reading. I collect many things,
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
Transformers, my Star Trek. Why? Why are you doing this?
It's coming out soon, so I can't help.
Why today? We didn't even listen to anything that was Lin Manuel.
It's in my head.
Is it just because you saw Ings and you thought musicals, and then because it only happened after Ings came in?
It's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, but Ings earlier, Sophie and I were in a worship war for Ings. Because Ings had a post.
Wow,
and
that needs context.
Ings had a post, and it was all shirtless glory of God moment.
Okay.
And I was like, rub the rag and hope to get the blessings. And then Sophie posted something like, rubs the rag more viciously and stares at the other devotee. And then I wrote, bows down, but then stares angrily. So the next thing you know, we're like having this war for the blessings.
Oh boy, that's a hobby. Funny social media commentary could be a hobby. So, yeah, I mean, like, if I don't know if you really need a guide to it, but if you actually need a guide, um, to hobbies, first is you got to be interested.
Mhm.
I think I don't think I mean, while it's possible to be there, may be that the grass is always greener kind of
Mhm.
feeling where you get into a hobby out of curiosity slash jealousy. Like, ooh, I want to get into biking because everyone's into biking, whatever. I mean, it's possible, but I definitely feel from the for a long if you well it might be that might be good as a project based or a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
one time hobby.
Sorry, that was not intentional.
I keep hearing it. Okay, but um, but I feel like if you really want like you want a long term hobby, that's something you're gonna do for a
Mhm.
while, not for the rest of your life, but for a while.
Mhm.
Then
Let's spread out.
I know. Then
Okay,
then it helps to start with your actual
but
interest.
I guess that's the initial thing, which
Yeah.
is identify why you want to try a certain thing to make it a hobby.
Mm,
Are you doing it to figure out if you like it? Are you doing it to
because you're
figure out why
curious.
they like it?
Yeah,
Are you doing it so that you're trying something others are doing? Because that's a valid reason as well.
that's true.
Not
Instead of
necessarily
mirroring.
something I would normally do. But we have people like that who are like, everyone's doing TikTok, gusto ko try.
Yeah,
Kasi everyone's doing TikTok. There is that aspect to that.
the bandwagon
Mhm.
as it drives by your
And
house, and you want to get on.
it's not necessarily wrong. It's just some people do really have a fear of missing out.
Hmm.
So identify why you'd want to start a hobby.
Or like FOMO, if you want to
Is
be cooler when you say that.
uh-huh, uh-huh. So
Toby, who uses internet slang but fully written out.
that's so scoobs. So going back, identify why you want to try something. Identify why you are interested in doing it. Because unless you do that, then you will not be able to properly gauge if the hobby does work for you. Hey, lizard.
Yeah, and then I think then going from there, the next step and this varies in the level of how you're gonna do it. There's going to be some sort of research. It's
Mm-hmm.
finding out more about the hobby, understanding how it works.
Mhm.
This could be as casual as asking someone else who's done it, and then, hey, I saw you did blank. I also want to try.
Mhm.
How do I get started? That's already your research, information gathering phase, whatever.
Mhm.
And then balancing it against the reasons for why you are exploring this hobby may also help you determine how much this is worth to you financially or monetarily speaking, because many hobbies will require actual investment of resources
Yes.
to get started. If you want to try baking, do you have an oven? Do you have baking goods? Do you have a tray or something that can be baked? If you want to, even if you want to get into reading, then it's like then you have to get the book. So um, there are different aspects to that.
Also consider that even if the hobby does not necessarily cost you anything. Let's say, sige, you want to try baking, the house naman has an oven.
Mm.
Your sister naman bakes, so makikigamit ka ng ingredients. So you feel like there's no cost. It still costs you time.
And effort
And your time
and
will
brain
always
space.
be worth something. If you worked instead, then it's worth money. If you rested instead, it's worth relaxation. So that is still an investment you have to consider when you consider choosing a hobby. Um, Also consider um, how you shall deal with it confidence wise. If it turns out you're not good at it, do you now hate it? Or do you now just
Why
realize,
why do you have to say it like you're an angry teen? You hate it?
oh my god, I hate baking. Baking sucks. So, or do you realize it's just not for you? And do
Or
you?
do you quit that quickly?
Yes,
Because
exactly.
and me, like, I always temper it with, I feel like you need to accept that, especially the more skill that is
Mhm.
required or involved in a hobby, expect to suck, and that your first attempts are not going to be great, that you're not going to get it right on the first try.
One might even say it's a hobby. You won't be good at it. It's not a skill yet. It's not something you've mastered yet. So the expectation is when you try it, the first few times will suck. And if you don't see joy in those first few times of sucking so bad, then it might not be something worth investing on because the first few times you bake and you want to try baking and they go bad. What are you gonna do now? Sell the oven? Give away the pots and pans? So consider these options.
Um, That's one thing. There pre-pandemic, there would be more on options for like trying out hobbies using other
Mhm.
people's facilities or
Yeah,
equipment or
like
things.
learning to do the trapeze thing, which was available here in
Oh yeah.
Taguig.
Or like even like in Aura, we saw that there's this place where you can go to bake.
Hmm.
There's like baking classes and there's
Hmm.
like multiple ovens. So then it's a nice place to test without investing in
Hmm.
equipment yourself.
And then you have a lot of the more unique or esoteric ones. Like there was that place in QC where you can try archery.
Oh yeah.
And then there's um, what was this? Everyone knows those little kiosks or areas in the malls where you can paint pottery
Oh,
and
oh,
bake
yeah. Or
there.
paint by number.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, they're like those facilities. I mean, obviously now not as many such hobby locations are available due to health and safety measures, but eventually we'll get there.
Mhm.
Um, so so now as much as there's like a lot you can learn, there's probably a greater requirement of like that barrier when it comes to investing resources because as much as there are lots of like kits you can order
Mhm.
online or on Facebook and whatever, or things you can find when you follow a YouTube video and maybe they have a website and then they can send you I guess we're back.
I guess we're back.
Ah, there is no rhyme or reason to this bug. Which makes it from a tech support perspective. I don't know how to report it because it's like at random times during our stream
Or
we seem to disappear.
maybe we should send them the links to the episodes with time codes and when it happens.
Eh,
That way they can see how it really just catches us by surprise.
yeah. So hey, we're back.
We're back.
And we're not sure why this happens, but it's been happening for more than a week now. It's not a hobby because I do not gain pleasure from this or amusement. Okay. Um. So yeah, we were just talking about that.
Costs.
Yeah, there's probably greater costs while in quarantine. So I guess choose wisely.
Mhm.
If there are hobbies that you can explore safely with whatever you have on hand, that might be a lower barrier. But nothing is stopping you from other stuff as long as it doesn't mean that you're choosing between eating for the day and starting on your exciting new hobby.
So let's go through a list of different common hobbies and let's talk about whether or not we ever engaged in them.
Okay.
First is collecting.
Obviously, we're trapped by collecting.
So collecting has everything from antiques to premium items to souvenir items, ephemera. I like to collect the ghosts of my exes or something. I don't know.
Why are they all dead? That should be a question that the police will
That's
ask.
a different hobby.
That's a different hobby. But yeah, so I mean, and uh, I feel like this collecting used to be always stuck with like ooh antiques, ooh stamps.
Or like small things you can keep in albums because they
Yeah.
allow you to show it off.
But now I feel like the collecting hobby is just super expanded because geek culture has become a bit more
Mm,
acceptable
that's
whether
true.
you like it or not, and thus I mean you have sneakerheads who collect sneakers and all those different shoes. You
Mhm.
have people who collect Funko Pops,
Yes.
right? And then you have these towers of Funkos that decorate an entire wall. You have people who collect action figures.
Towers.
Or we have Transformers. We have
Mhm.
board games.
Do you
So there's
remember
lots of things to
do you
collect.
remember collecting anything non-geekery?
But is it anything that you dive into because it becomes your passion, then it becomes geeky?
Okay, non
Pop
pop
culture?
culture.
No.
I used to collect paper clips.
Why?
I don't know. I even had one that was like my arm and size.
And then what would you do with these paper clips?
I make the longest chain.
Including with the big one?
Yeah. It's the big one had hang on the door and then the rest like hang down.
Okay.
So yeah, I
Okay.
used to collect paper clips. And then there was a time I also used to collect um, those plastic toys, which was used for touching games. You guys know the touching game where you throw the piece and your opponent has to hit your piece. But if they miss it, then you can hit them back, and then you win the ante. You claim a toy from them if you beat them.
Isn't that like marbles, but you're just not using
Yeah,
marbles?
but it came with those rubber plastic toys from the chips and stuff that we used to buy in the street. My dad naman, um, he used to collect 5 peso coins.
Mm.
So it was so funny how we used to really hoard the 5 peso coins for him, and then he wouldn't even want to like deposit them in the bank. So there's like
He is
the
disrupting our economy.
exactly, and we were like joking about that because at one point there was an announcement that the Banco Central was wondering where coins were going, so they were gonna roll out new coins, and we were all looking at him, and he was like, "Hindi ako yun."
Oh my god. So on Facebook you have Urim saying, yes, we are that old. But then on YouTube you have Kenny saying, I'm too young for this. But the comments appear one after the other in our restream interface, so it just makes it funnier.
So Noel mentions he collects
No,
X's.
you don't collect them because they're not yours. I'm sorry.
Well, it depends. Maybe they were just a pastime.
No, but yeah, but collecting are things that you have with you. So I feel like nobody collects X's because by definition they're not with you.
Kenny says, "I have no idea what that toy is." Well,
There was a wide range of like different action figures, mini action figures based
mhm.
on different popular cartoons. They were probably unlicensed because it was everything from
Yeah.
like a lot of Gundam type
My
monsters,
favorite was this
robots,
Godzilla like one that had his arms in like curves. So parang shuriken. So when you throw it, so
and of course you would throw him.
yeah, kasi nga, it's touching. So if this is the piece and then Tube Guy was the other, you let's say you threw Tube Guy there, I have to throw this and hit the piece. And if I miss, you can then pick up yours to hit mine. And whoever hits the opponent, I guess depending on the rules, let's say one time lang or 3 times, then from your collection you can get one. So it was sobrang war with the
I
neighbors.
generally understand the principle of this. I would never play anything that would make me risk losing things that are mine.
No, I didn't lose. Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to entertain that. All right. So, other than collecting, what's next on this list?
So beyond collectibles, we have making and tinkering.
Ooh,
So of course, this now brings in knitting. Um, in the past, you'd have restoration, people who'd love to like buy old cars and restore them.
knitting's cousin,
Um,
crocheting.
there was those, of course, who would love to code stuff or would love to do paintings and stuff. But then in the modern day, you now have like 3D printing, cooking.
This
Um,
reminds me of Carlo. So our
mhm,
friend Carlo is like super into that whole maker culture.
mhm,
So it's about it and his like experiments have ranged from carpentry
mhm.
all the way to machining,
Yeah,
keyboards and whatnot. Then of course programming.
and what I loved about his dive into that hobby was it wasn't just I wanted to 3D print, but it included I want to create a 3D printer so I can 3D print.
Yes.
And he actually created one using old parts from printers and stuff because the dot matrix printers had
Yeah, you have
that
that same trap
yeah.
system.
So galing galing.
Yeah, my dad's progression in this hobby has started with he got into 3D printing and then he tried to learn to how to paint his
Mm-hmm.
models. But then he started getting into model trains and he has the advantage now of being able to 3D print buildings in scale
Mm-hmm.
with his trains. And then now he's now adding on top of his painting skills, but sort of the landscape recreation testing
Mm-hmm.
skill, whatever it's skills. So it's nice to see how his hobbies have like grown into each other, but they're all very very makery.
I'm also very impressed when people are really into scale models.
Mm.
Like for the more geeky hobbyists, there's the Gunpla and the robot models kits. But then you have the other side where it's all military, and then you have the non-military but very very mechanical, wherein their scale accurate models of cars with engines and the engine
Or
parts and
recreations of famous points of
yeah,
history. Yeah.
or even scale models of houses with working lighting, with
Yeah.
working doorbells, with an oven that can cook, and
In truth, Toby's
oh,
real fascination is that guy on YouTube who cooks things with like really tiny pots and pans and then decorates them and then
and then you'll make one single donut, and then you'll make one single egg. Ah. Kenny mentions embroidery. I had a time I was trying to do that because I was so fascinated with how you could do certain patterns and it looks like a great image, and then you turn it around and it's hell. It's chaos.
I couldn't. I never got into embroidery, but I did get into cross stitch, which is
Mhm.
like the organized version of this, right? And it's quite comforting because then it's all squares, guys.
Mhm.
A cross stitch, it's good. It's literally because you're making X's, you
The
know.
closest thing I ever got to knitting, I think, was I used to make a lot of friendship bands.
Oh,
And
okay.
that had that ano, di ba? Yung you'll have I think there like be like 20 strings, and then you'll have to make sure you do it in that right order so the pattern forms.
Oh my god, no, I was like, what about that Chinese girl that cooks things that she finds at the office?
Ah, that was a
I
fun
know those.
video.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a fun video.
That was interesting.
Well, I'm always bothered if what she's cooking is clean.
Yeah, because it's like it's really using like just about
I mean, we know it's set up, but di ba, there's that feeling of, oh my God. Okay, then we have activity participation as an entry. And basically,
wow. Wikipedia defines they are non-competitive rule-based pursuits.
because that's to differentiate it from sports.
That's fair.
Di ba?
That's
You
fair.
can be into golf and you compete. But then as a hobby, you just play golf.
I guess because you're not playing in tournaments and stuff, and you're not
Yes.
going to a competitive level.
Right? So that also includes a lot of the non-competing at all. So you have hiking. I mean, there's the competitive hiking,
Gardening.
climbing, canoeing, residential gardening, um, house plants. There's all this garden stuff. Hobby.
You have many hobbies, Toby. Please, lah. Don't start with me. So yeah, so it's a lot of like definitely activity. I think it's interesting how the plant thing has really blown up.
Mhm.
I don't know what drove that. Like, and then when you go to social media and you see people talk about their plants, it's like it's very fascinating to me because the plants that seem to be very expensive, like these monsteras and
Mm.
whatnot, but they're not like flowering plants. They're like big leafy plants. So they, like someone outside the hobby, it's like it's not very visually
Mm.
interesting. But then but I feel like the gardening hobby is starting to overlap with the collecting hobby because of the fact that there's pricing
Mhm.
attributed to things. So then people in the know when they see your plants, like, ooh, you have a blah blah blah.
And
Then
I think that goes across almost all the hobbies in their own way. It's just a question of people really being aware of the details. It's just like if someone was into knitting and people who knit would go, "Oh, you're using the ganyang tools," which para for us they're all knitting needles. There's no difference.
okay, that's fair.
Someone who's totally unawares might look at all your robots and say, "So anong difference nila?" And you have, there's a Gen 1, there's a ganyan. There's these little details that unless you're in the know,
Well,
you won't know.
I only say the crossover only because I mean my Transformers is literally it's mainly collecting. It's like
Mm.
there's not much I can do. Whereas gardening, it could just be something you do on your own, but then it has developed that
Collecting aspect.
collector mindset
Mhm.
because of social media probably.
Mhm.
So Mitch is like maybe it's because people can't go out, and then but you to be fair, the plant boom started pre-pandemic.
Mhm.
People were seriously getting into plants even before the pandemic, and then it just dare I use the pun flourished in the quarantine because they're really home now. Um,
Okay, well, we'll end the episode na.
why?
You're making puns. Na.
And then you're excited.
I wanna have fun. So, continuing. Mamiao says, I don't get plantitas collecting ornamental plants. Well, I guess again, it's
Whatever they like.
and that's how hobbies are. I mean, one can also say, for example, I don't get people who obsess over making the Miss Universe headdresses
Hmm.
because we have friends who are like super. They're so meticulous and they'll come up with these creations and sometimes you'd wonder, but who's gonna use that?
Yeah.
But that's their thing.
But yeah, hobbies are like not logical by
Mhm.
default. To people outside the hobby, I guess, and then even within that same segment, you can choose to enjoy particular things. For example, like as far as Transformers go, I'm very bored with Bumblebee. I am not excited about Bumblebee, so I don't go out. If budget were more of an issue for me, and I could only collect like one character,
Mhm.
I would only collect Soundwave, and then he's not always the obvious choice. But most people would be like Optimus Prime or Megatron or Bumblebee. I can pass, and like I would just focus on one thing. And so everybody in the hobby, when you get into a hobby, you define the parameters and why you like it. It's like only collecting a particular comic book. So
Mhm.
there's room for everyone. Okay.
So moving to what we call the liberal arts pursuits.
Wow, this is so funny.
Which
Why
I
is it
guess
specified?
they wanted to try to capture
The
everything
arts.
from performance to skill based. So that's everything from martial arts to music,
Singing,
dancing,
acting,
magic.
juggling.
It includes as well photoshopping, jewelry making. So there's a cross between all this and that, I guess, when it comes to this.
Oh, so then is knitting more here? Or I guess because if the output is like regularly presented to the public, so it's performative in that aspect.
Well, they're counting it under visual arts kasi.
Ah,
And remember in visual arts,
then there's like
you have everything,
creation.
any making.
I
falls
like
under
that
visual
the
arts.
Wikipedia image is a magician, and it's super at someone's house.
Yeah, so you have cosplay as well mentioned, writing, reading. Yeah.
Oh, we have Checker Sabrina says recently started baking again, and my first buttercream was a disaster. New hobbies are always plagued with failure. Yes,
absolutely.
as we said earlier in this episode, same things. Like when you get started on a hobby, prepare to fail and
Mhm.
celebrate that failure, embrace it, and just keep going.
And I think that's part of what is key in really enjoying a hobby. If you're the type who gets discouraged quickly, then maybe diving into it alone
Mm.
is not a smart thing because
Yeah.
then you'll be just, I'm failing, I'm frustrated, I don't like it. But then if you're doing it with friends or you're doing it because a lot of you are doing it, then even the failure might be moments to laugh about and to learn from. You all compare and then, oh my God, ba't ganyan yung tsura ng cookies ko? And then
I mean,
you
like
share
it's
information.
sort of like why Nailed It is such an awesome show because it's a show that celebrates failure
Mhm.
together and then just keep trying. Because even the Nailed It people, I feel like by the end of the episode, as crazy as it is, have learned something new
Mhm.
about the baking hobby. So that's something.
Your mentions performance and elevators counts as a hobby.
Mhm.
Well, only if you do it frequently. He also adds, can never make a cake rise. Well, you could always try bread instead. Noel shares first knitted creations ended up as rags. Well, if you started with the intent to create rags, then you succeeded. Okay.
Or did you start with the intention of not making clothes?
I realized back in high school, no, grade school, one of the projects we had in Don Bosco, Makati, um, we would get, I think it was an old sack,
Okay.
and then we intermittently cut holes in it,
Okay.
and then using strips of cloth that we cut up, we would then weave them in until we came up with those shaggy rags, the ones that look like that dog sleeping.
Okay.
Um, and I remember having so much fun with that because we realized if you do the rags that you, because it's literally there's a hole, you'll pop the rag in and then pop it out the other hole.
Yeah.
So it's just a U loop.
Like a running stitch.
Yeah. And then sometimes you'd even knot it to make sure it doesn't move. But then we started to create patterns with it. So some of us made them look like dogs, others made them look like more, I don't know, meatballs and stuff. And That's an interesting memory.
My grade school work, what we called work education or
Mhm.
work ed classes, included one quarter where we all had macrame projects,
Mm.
which is the rope, and then you, based on the knots and whatever you would make, you could make patterns.
Mhm.
And because it was the third quarter of the year, I made a Christmas tree
Mm.
with like present with the star and presents the side.
But this isn't the one that you can bring it down and they all flatten into one area.
No, 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 no. It starts out
Parang
as
mobile
it
siya.
starts out as multiple strings, and then you run the
Yeah.
knots together to make an almost tapestry thing.
Mhm.
And then you start, the string is probably twice the length of a person, but then when you end, it's like your head
Mm.
because the knots really crinkle everything down. So it was a
Yeah.
weird thing to learn.
Our work ed, because it was Don Bosco Makati, was a water heater, a working
Okay.
water heater, a working folding chair,
Okay.
and a working desk organizer slash door hanger. Because it was we of course cut it with wood, sanded it, painted it, glued it together, varnished it. But it was basically this house thing na you can hang it on the door sa may, for letters, or you keep it on your desk kasi may ball pen holder. But I really, really enjoyed making the water heater.
That sounds fun. I had the ball pen holder thing where I had to do my initials
Mm.
and then make a
With
thing.
with a rattan, with a black and
No,
white.
no, it was a plank, it was a block of wood, and then
Okay.
we had to drill, and I was terrible at it.
The
And then,
drill.
yeah. Then in the end, my mom's bodyguard like had
Did
to
it
help
for
me
you.
finish it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Me naman, it was the folding chair that cursed me. It was like a young boy's IKEA moment because I kept screwing things the wrong way. So when I open it, it's like blah. And I'm like, what's that? That's not a chair. And then I'll disassemble it again and then start over. Oh, maybe that's the root of my meltdown.
When you're building things.
Because I have meltdowns when I build things.
Yeah, he does.
I have this. It's not working. I
Toby,
bit more than I can chew.
Toby earlier was like, because okay, I have a holiday tomorrow because it's a holiday in Singapore, and then I know Toby's like thinking holiday mode, so he's like, oh, what if I assemble the shelf tonight and we put it in the bedroom? Like, number one, you have work. Number two, you have an early meeting. What I didn't say was number three, I don't want to melt down tonight because there's that point in Toby's creative process where it's really like, oh, this is going okay, this is going okay, it's a failure. What's happening? Nothing's working, and then he's just tired and but then he'll recover, and then
And then it's done.
yeah. And then sarap ng chicken. Okay, Mom Meow says writing is primarily a solitary hobby, but I found a
That's
Facebook group of aspiring writers, and somehow it helped when people also read and critique your works.
Mm.
And also with double-edged sword, you prepare for critiques. Yes, I've been listening to a bunch more master classes on writing, and I recently, between N.K. Jemisin and Roxanne Gay, they both cite that really there's no point to writing if nobody else reads it.
Mhm.
So like you can write as much as you want, but until someone else reads it, then there's no point.
Mhm.
So, which is an interesting perspective. So, as much as the core part of writing is solitary, the harder part of the hobby, yes, is setting it out free into the world
Yes.
and see how it goes. So yes, Project Meltdown is common. Yeah, it's part of Toby's creative process. So every time it's like when Halloween comes, and then Toby's like, "Let's make costumes." I'm ready. I am ready for all phases of the process.
You could also make the costume.
I am not a maker. I know I am not a maker. I don't even melt down. I'm just like, it's not working. So like even your Halloween thing last year, that's still not on as big a scale, but it went from, it's not working. It doesn't look right.
Come on, make a new one. Because I always have this way in my head how it will work. And then, of course, I don't have the tools. I don't have the equipment. Like, God knows my brain keeps thinking, you can sew it, Toby. And then after a few minutes, my fingers hurt. Nah, I hate doing this. Ow, ow. And yeah. Urim also shares that there was a school time where they were asked to make rags and then the school sold them. Yes, schools are the perfect way to get child labor. Mitch, of course, says table flip.
That's a different show.
I'm sad that never.
I miss table flip. Okay.
So there was more from Mamiel. Writing double edge. Okay, no,
No, no,
we
yeah, I
covered it.
shared that one.
Okay, so sports and hobbies is of course listed in the list.
Sports
as
and
well.
games.
Sports and games. So that's everything from, of course, the sports we know to games we're used to. Now it says here the psychological role. Um, while most evident in childhood, play continues throughout life. From okay, I was talking about this in my talk. Uh, studies of aging and society support the value of hobbies for healthy aging. And then there have been lists of significant achievements that have been accomplished from what was just hobbies. Everything from,
Amateur astronomers
yeah,
discovering new celestial bodies.
or experimentation with electricity builds the lightning
The
rod.
scientific achievements by
Yeah.
amateur scientists. Open source developments in the programming world. So yeah, that's cool stuff. So I mean, there's like there's but the potential for amazing things that come out of hobbies. But yeah, it depends. But as long as you're enjoying, then that's the real point, right? Then you go for it. So I have a friend who is experimenting with celestial photography.
Hmm.
So he doesn't have just telescopes, but he's trying to figure out how to take nice pictures of stuff through the telescope. And it's like I don't understand half the things that he's bringing up, but it's fascinating.
He
And
has to
then
leave the city.
there is I don't know if he's in the city, but then
Good.
but yeah, or then and then there's things like this other friend of mine. It's like half the time he's talking about his soundboard, and then he's always like re-engineering the board, and like so it's nice how people like talk about their hobbies on
Mhm.
social, and then I appreciate that.
So there is that running joke of, um, people buying books and they have more books than they've read. So in many ways, that's still also like collecting.
There is a collecting component to
Yeah.
books. That's undeniable. And the same thing with board games. So there is a depending on your resources, I feel like a large part of board games can become a collecting hobby. But then ultimately it's also it's centered around play,
Yeah. I
obviously.
guess what I'm trying to say is, people are more into collecting hobbies than they realize.
Yes.
Because we've always identified collecting hobbies to be literally, I have an album, these are my stamps. Look at
stamps,
this,
basketball
look at this
cards.
picture frame,
Yeah.
with the coins, etc. But then yun nga, you might have a collecting hobby because you keep buying shoes or you keep grabbing a new bag.
Mm.
You love the fact that you have, all these new what you call this? I was about to say latex, but those covers for the phones, the my rabbit ears and my
Let's just say
handles.
phone cases, not made of latex. Okay. So yeah, and then like what's this? No, I got lost when you said latex. It's like, what are you talking about?
Mm.
Okay. Um, Mommy, I was like, used to play video games as part of my hobby, but I get more and more involved in writing. I'm losing time for my gaming and just ending up collecting games. And that's fine. And like, again, it's like, I know I feel that pinch of, I can only handle so much if there's a hobby. And then even Toby will like complain, like, when I get started on something, and Toby's really like, you don't really have much time for anything else. You really want to do that. And that's
Well,
fair.
well, that's also because yours they grow. I mean, okay, we do Duolingo, and Duolingo has a daily requirement of activity because you have to keep your flame.
Yes.
And then you can set the number of points minimum per day.
Yes.
And how high did you set yours?
It's only 30. That's 3 exercises a day. It's the recommended number. Like, well, in earlier Duolingo, when you could set it up, it's worse now. It's like, oh God, the top 10 league. You're going to fall out of the Diamond League. You're only number 29. It's like, ugh. I try not to look at the number. I just do my dailies and then I'm okay.
Because admittedly, you have a long range of dailies.
I don't have that long.
Sige, let's total it. And no, this is not complaining. This is just stating facts. That when you add the new one, I'm like, oh, easy lang
But
kasi you
there-
already have.
I don't even think of these as hobbies though. Because I can't say I'm doing it for enjoyment.
Their enjoyment.
No, because
because
elevate.
all the more you won't enjoy it if you stop.
No, because elevate. That's not. It's not that I wouldn't enjoy it if I stopped. I would feel uncomfortable.
See, so
There's a
so
difference.
it's a black hat enjoyment. It's
Black
avoidance. It's the same thing as the Farmville vegetables that will go bad in an hour unless you play.
Hey, I can ignore my cat cafe game. I haven't played in like a week. But when it comes to so Elevate is there to keep my brain alert by constantly doing different
Okay.
drills.
Let's do it this way. You wake up,
Yes.
and upon waking up, daily number one.
What do you mean?
What's your first daily?
You go to the bathroom?
No, no. In terms of your list of dailies that you have to fulfill.
I have to work out.
Okay, so workout. That's let's say an hour.
I try to keep it under that.
Well, that's all in all. Na that's the job.
Yeah, the prep.
Because
Okay.
that workout is stretching, yoga, running, and possibly full workout.
I don't do everything.
Yeah, but
It's yeah.
but that's our four items as far as after waking up.
Yes.
Okay, and then every hour.
I have to do steps. I missed my steps at 8 o'clock. I feel bad today.
Mhm. And then after that, we have Duolingo.
Oh well, I have to do Duolingo. Yes.
You have Elevate,
Yes.
and then you have book number one.
What do you mean book number one?
Because you're reading two books, right? You have the digital book and the physical book.
I may have 3 to 4. Because I have the comic book that I'm reading directly from web, and I may have a comic book that I'm reading on my phone. And then I have a book that I'm reading on my Kindle. And then there's the physical book in the bathroom.
So we're at 5 so far. We're at 10 so far for dailies.
How are you counting? I don't like the way you're counting. I dispute your count.
Mind you, I'm not counting per hour. I'm just counting per activity.
Yeah, you shouldn't count. This is just one
Because if we
activity.
count per hour, we're already looking at what 18 minimum
It's unfair.
for the walking
It's just
alone.
very unfair. That's 12 hours. That's 12 intervals of steps.
Love you. Like I said, they grow.
These aren't hobbies, they're obligations. I can't say I'm doing them strictly for enjoyment. I could reduce my elevate, but then then am I really pushing myself? Okay, I just feel like, I was in the honor section, okay? And then if my brain deteriorates because I'm not using it in all facets, then that's a waste.
I just feel that you could direct some of the hours to do more of the other stuff you wanted to find time for, such as writing and getting something out.
I still don't know what to write. So
And that's why it's come on, I'm not forcing you.
Tuloy, Kenny's
Um,
asking if there's a rocky intervention.
No, of course not.
No, because there's no intervening with me. Once something is locked in, it's gonna stick.
That's why we always buy books in threes. So
I don't have to follow this digitally because then I just add things to cart, and then because of the Kindle stores instant checkout,
Mhm.
and then it's like, oh, it's like I can't build my threes. It's only fun when it's on
So what you're
Comixology,
saying
and
is
then it's a Marvel buy one get
so
one
what
sale.
you're saying
Then I
is
have to get an even value
a
of it.
multiple of 3.
Huh?
You'll have to get a multiple of 3, not just an even value.
No. If it's buy one get one for
Yeah.
Marvel,
You're willing to buy 4 and not 6?
yes, because I have to maximize the sale, and then it's harder to find sets of comics of the same price so that you maximize your savings. Otherwise, then what? Don't participate in the buy one get one sale.
So as we were saying, time matters.
This is why people think I'm on the spectrum.
It's okay.
It's okay. I'm not diagnosed. I haven't been formally assessed. Therefore, it's irresponsible to say I am.
So as we were saying, collecting has in many ways become a hobby for more people than they realize, and the collecting aspect no longer really just follows the way it used to. Wherein it was really collecting something with that focused intent on collecting. You could even go to as somewhat detached in the sense of you always buy something cute,
Hmm.
diba? Yung,
My people who collect, let's say, like a particular anime style character, like a
Mhm.
lot of like Rikamaru
or ano,
things.
every time my convention or something, you'll make sure you go home with some stickers.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if all the stickers are Steven Universe or not. But parang there's that
You
wala
have this
eh.
collection of indie
Parang
stickers.
I now like making sure I bring home something from that event. So those are part of the hobby building moments as well.
Urim saying it froze. Is anyone else seeing it freezing? Because I don't. The feed is running on our
Oh,
end.
it's running
Our
here.
monitor is running here.
Oh, there's a lot of angry.
No, but those are all the reactions from the stream that queued waiting for you to load. So it's hard to know what those specific emojis were reacting to. So Urim, it might just be you. You might need to refresh your
Yeah.
tab. That sometimes happens on the Facebook feed.
Yeah, okay naman daw sabi ni Mitch.
Okay.
Okay, so other than collecting, other than sports, other than board games, other than all this, we've talked about collecting. Do you remember the very first hobby that you realized you were really into? Was it robots? Was it Transformers? Or was there something before that?
I can't. I don't think I could really say Transformers because I didn't really have like the resources for it. But I guess, but even though I didn't have the resource for books either, my mother's proclivity for supporting what we would call pick a book day, which
Mm.
is anytime she goes to the bookstore and we are with her, did cultivate that option for me to like to start thinking in terms of series. I fully attribute and blame my mother for really growing my reading habit because she's the type of person that she'd go to my science fiction shelf with me together and in the bookstore and then look, Rocky, it's a series, doesn't that look like interesting to start? Because series means you'll always have something to read.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a lot of like I got started on Terry Pratchett because then it's a whole series of Discworld
Mm-hmm.
books or so things like that and so I guess books is one of the earliest because Transformers nga, is like it was cost prohibitive
Mhm.
initially. Same thing with Lego. Like I love Lego, but then Lego I need to get really good grades to get myself new Lego. So that was hard.
Yeah, um, my earlier ones had poetry. Writing was early. I was already writing about dead animals and stuff at my young age.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was a lot of visual arts, drawing and painting, but I also feel I was more in depth because I was trying to do what my kuya was doing. Um, Writing was something though that I was doing more than him because he had a larger music.
My brother is here and he says it's a trap. My whole shelf of books are trilogies and series. See, we are well trained in this family to buy in clusters. Ah, oh my god. Okay, sorry, that was just funny. Uh, what other what I think of I can't think of any other early hobbies I may have had.
Mhm.
I don't know. Because I never felt very creative. I can't draw for crap. So I didn't even try. And then even writing, as much as I joined writing organizations, like in school where there are clubs and you have to join a club,
Mhm.
but that would be like the only place I would write. But then like when I go home, I didn't really find the urge to write right away. It was probably only in towards high school that like, ooh, I'll try writing like more seriously.
Mhm.
So beyond that, then like, where did your so how did your hobbies evolve over time?
I think so. We were very active as a family. Um, Mom always had us do a lot of activities. And we were also the family that had Manila paper of the multiplication tables on the walls. So when you're lying in bed, you can see them and they'll help you remember them.
Is this why Tracy so crafty now?
We also had a music, an LP,
Okay.
that was literally the multiplication table song being sung, and mom would play it. But then beyond that, beyond what we used to do at home, um, her siblings, sila Auntie Cookie, sila Auntie Mia, Auntie Barbie, always made our summers very active and very crafty.
Mm.
So we would always have a play production. One of the earliest ones we did was The Emperor Has No Clothes. And I was the kid who, of course, yells out, but mommy, the Emperor has no clothes. Um, we would craft props, we would do puppet shows, we would do cutouts, we'd make our own paroles and all this and that. We we really went far as the making crafting side of things. To the point that my sister and I later started to do our own versions of Nickelodeon shows
Hmm.
where we'd make our own slime, and then in the backyard we'd create this relay course
A la double dare.
because we would run around and try to, you know, there's the inflatable pool, and then we'll fill it with slime and other toys, and then we'll find something we'll have to find, and then we'll have buckets of stuff, and then Tracy go, and then Tracy's doing that, and I have the camcorder, and then I'll start throwing water at her and stuff, and we were just having such a crazy fun time. So I think a lot of that is why we as kids just became what we are. Kuya did veer more towards the performing arts. He really got into drums. He really loved music. I know I had a brief stint of piano, but again, I think nainggit lang ako kay Kuya who had a
Hmm.
musical instrument. So writing was really more my thing and performing. But then Tracy was more who was more comfortable with being on the microphone and but she was a huge into sports. She was in the volleyball teams and all that. So yeah, that was how the three of us found our different crafts.
I had very limited exposure to. I mean, like not limited, but I had like very structured exposure
Hmm.
to piano because my grandmother could play quite well,
Hmm.
and that was like the pro and the con. Like, oh, let's try learn the piano, and then you have like the amateur piano book, and then anywhere in the house, and it was a big house. Anywhere in the house, and you're playing, and you hit the wrong note, she would yell from whichever room, and they'll be like, "Do, sol," and then they go, again. And then so that was scarier. That what did not feel like it was for enjoyment and amusement. Um, so that, I don't know. There was like Mary Had a Little Lamb was like
Hmm.
terrifying. So
Yuri mentions carpentry since my dad's business involved it, and I know my power tools and different types of paint.
it's cool. It's practical skills. Um, but yeah, so I guess beyond that, it's like it was writing, and then computer games
Mm.
kind of took off because we came into that point when computer
Yeah,
games are
same.
happening. Um, but obviously the books never ended, and then now I like now I'm switching a lot more to digital, so then I can pretend that my hobby isn't as bad as it used to be. But then now because all my books are like hidden in the cloud, and then I can just summon them to my Kindle when I need them. So yes, oh, it's
Hey,
Nikki.
Nikki.
Yeah. But what else? What else do you want to cover on the hobby phase? Oh, I didn't get to cite that today is two weird geek holidays. One is Geek Pride Day, which apparently started in the Netherlands or something. I forgot.
Mm.
We were reading the article the other day. So, but it's on my calendar. Like I've put it as a reminder
Mhm.
because before I used to try to figure out a geeky guide blog post when it was Geek Pride Day,
Mhm.
and then it is also Towel Day for Hitchhiker's
Thanks for
Guide
all
to the
the fish.
Galaxy. Yeah. So it's Towel Day and it's celebrating that culture. So it's like two things. Noel, remember not learning to play an instrument was a frustration of the family with the family name and all. Oh, I get that.
Mm.
I mean, like obviously I'm a Suniko. Then half the people will always be like, "Oh, how are you related to Raul?" And then I just know he's vaguely an uncle. And then on the flip side, how are you related to Ravi, who is a writer? And then, oh, yeah, he's also an uncle. So I get that. There's that family pressure of, so which one are you? Or are you also? Because of course, that's how we look at families. They are monostructures with one skill that is passed to everyone in the family. That's not how it works, but it's just funny that way. That's just it's just how people remember
Mm.
things, and it's I guess it's like along the same lines of oh, you're gay, hey, my friend is gay too, maybe you would be friends. It's like they're just trying to find something that'll associate, and it's just weird.
Noel shares, I tried learning the guitar, but I hate the calio on my fingers. So,
I'm at war with Kalium now.
yeah, I think calio is the true sign that you really
Gotten into a physical
gotten
hobby.
into a hobby deep. And it's the price to pay because your body is now, adjusting to
Your
the
body is like,
string.
ow, 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 ow. I'm going to build this shield
Yeah,
because ow, 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 ow.
exactly. I will survive.
My feet, my feet are not great, guys. It's just like this fitness journey thing. Now I am not happy with my feet, and I'm constantly trying to attack them.
So Mitch asks, and I think the question didn't really need the word how, but how is traveling a hobby? I think it was meant to be is traveling a hobby,
No,
but
I
how?
think
But how makes it sound sarcastic?
or no,
How is traveling a hobby?
no, it depends because you have to. So you have to ask it like Mitch. So how is traveling a hobby? You know, then it's like it's not how Mitch wouldn't ask it that way. So, but I think that goes to the remember the list that there's a part where like participatory
Yeah,
activities. So it's like gardening. Then traveling can be because you do it for amusement. It's experiential. You're not
unless
competing.
unless the act of traveling um is just the activity to do your hobby. Because
Yeah.
maybe your hobby is trying different food,
Ooh, it could be.
or
Maybe
maybe
your
your
hobby
hobby is
is
getting photos in
experiencing
different
culture.
places,
Oh yeah.
and traveling is just the way you do it. See,
Of course, and else like, and now I have Kalyo from knitting. I have weird spots here now.
from your yoga.
I don't know if it's yoga, the push-ups, the whatnot. It's here, and then my
Mm-mm.
feet are so sad. Tama si Rocky, that's how I asked the question. See, I speak Mitch. This could be a hobby because it amuses me. Okay.
See, Nick gets me.
How is traveling a hobby? Sounds
Sounds
different.
different. Come here.
Yes, Nikki. It would sound different from you.
Oh my gosh, we hit 10! Yay!
And 100 messages apparently.
Thank you, 10 viewers, for joining us tonight on our 202nd episode. And with that, we should celebrate by having a brief 15-second break.
It never takes me 15 seconds to wait. It's like, okay, I'll find it.
Yeah, but we have to celebrate that. We'll be right back after this 15-second break.
Oh yeah! Really great!
And we're back.
My behind the scenes challenge is that I queue or just once we've played the video, it disappears from my menu. So if we're Toby likes to spring this on me now in the middle of the episode and like, oh, I have to find it again. Then I have to load the video and then yeah. And it's a technical constraint because we're our own tech crew. So ay nako.
And then we're reserving the spot for our eventual first sponsor or something.
Oh yeah, we could totally do that.
We can dream. We used to dream about having an opening moment. So.
With Mitch, and we
Yes.
got that dream. Kenny says he discovered there are two types of people who have traveling as their hobbies: the one who likes to visit places, and the one who enjoys the act of moving around. That's an interesting thing, and like because there's some who like the tourist thing,
And they're
like
grumpy during the entire commute.
and they
Di ba?
but once they're at the site,
Happy, happy.
selfie,
And then pauwi. And then there's the opposite. We're in during the travel. They're hi. We're to the flight
Or-
attendant.
and it's the
"May I
ones
have
that
the wine?"
or it's the one that I have no itinerary. And then like I'm just going to go around the city and,
And then-
see what I
And
find.
then even the airport is part of the trip.
Oh,
Diba?
yes.
Because some people get out of the airport as quick as possible. Ito, oh, let's look at this, let's look at that. And
We get out of the airport.
yeah,
So
so
we're very functional.
there are very different approaches to traveling.
Mamiao says if I ever be a traveler, I would probably belong to the second category, the moving around. Okay. And then FB caption yung Baduy Pride yung caption sabi niya what you think. Oh, well what? Okay. Oh, it was auto subtitling. Nikki, the video is for whenever Toby wants to play it right now because he's just getting his full mileage this week. He worked very hard on that. It had a near meltdown moment, the making of that video.
because I was used to using After Effects, and suddenly I was working with Windows Video Player without Photoshop.
Yes.
So yeah,
Toby is trying this. He's experimenting with this non-Adobe life for a while because of cost, and then we'll see how this sticks. If not, He's just trying to justify himself whether or not he's really gonna take the plunge and pay for creative
Yeah,
soup.
because that's what $50 a month.
Yeah, it's so expensive. Christian's one of the people who actually enjoyed the tours. There's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
Christian. You enjoy what you enjoy, so that's fine.
Oh, and nice to have you here, Christian.
Yes. Urim does the planning. Mitch also like and then to be fair, like was this if you look at our trips to Singapore in the first few years versus our trips to Singapore in the more recent years.
Mhm.
The first few years were super touristy, even for me and Toby. We
Yeah.
we saw a lot of places, we took a lot of pictures, but then as it became more functional because I'm visiting my sister, and then it worked.
That line.
Yeah. Then it didn't
Sit
have
close to the door so you can get out faster.
then we became more and more
Yeah.
efficient.
I have an aunt in the States who, part of her hobbies, I dare say it's a hobby, is trying clothes on.
Oh no, I
So-
totally get that.
so
I
when
understand
we're-
people like that.
When
Yeah.
we're in Nordstrom's, if that's the name, and
Okay.
stuff, she will get clothes. She'll try them on. We'll all have a moment to ooh ah, but she won't buy them. She just wants to,
Yeah.
this looks nice on me.
It's like it's like participating in a fashion show without the financial
Mhm.
commitment or the need to lose a lot of weight.
Of course, my other cousin who also lives in LA is like, just buy it, na tita. You can return it anyway.
That's true. Oh, Nikki says he'll send you what software he uses for editing.
We'll talk off our.
Yeah, Toby's been using super free alternatives just to
Staying
test.
legal.
Like what was that? What's your Photoshop alternative? Photopeya, which is browser based. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's working so far. I just hate the fact that it has a lot of things automated. So sometimes I'll load something and then there's all these replacing font, because it's replacing it with what it has as a royalty free font.
Hmm.
But of course, it's still slightly different. So you're like, yeah.
Toby's creative meltdown moments. It's like I don't like the font. It looks
Or,
different.
why are you doing this to me? Just work the way I want you to. Okay.
Oh, mommy, I also used to try clothes on a lot. Oh, see, it's a thing. It's a thing. Okay. I feel like then you're like you should travel. I feel like everybody is feeling that. Damn, we should travel more after this pandemic. And then I feel like we're gonna try to up. We're gonna probably in the immediate like when it's safe enough. We're probably gonna recoil to whether we like it or not in terms of like level of social activity. I feel like there's gonna be that rush to like do more things with friends again. But then we'll kind of like taper off to a more balanced life.
So Mitch asks, is laundry a hobby for you?
We have to do laundry. It's important. If you don't do laundry, you don't have clothes.
Hmm. What? I'm just asking Mitch's question.
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy laundry. I do enjoy,
You do separating the whites and the dye.
and then thinking that then this is how I'm gonna balance the formula today. And then my dilemmas are as stupid as it feels a little heavy, but do I really want to split the load, or can I rationalize a new load? Like let's separate the pants because they're heavier, from the lights. And then do I have enough actually for a red load? Fascinating. So
So it's functional,
thank you, Mitch.
according to Mitch.
That's awesome. It is. It's like washing dishes. That's why I keep telling the movie thing. Was this
I like washing dishes.
if I pass by the kitchen at least 3 times and I see dishes in the sink, I hear the dishes in my
Okay.
mother's voice telling me, "Hey, who are you expected to wash the dishes? Me?" You know?
Okay, so first we both have work.
Yes.
Secondly, it's not fair because you walk every hour.
I bet this was gonna come up because I pace the apartment.
And mind you, you don't get water when you walk every hour. You
No,
get
no.
water as a separate trip.
Yeah.
So that means there's a bigger possibility you'll get to the dishes before I do.
I'm just saying
I have
that as
I
I
have
see it that
blocked
way.
the kitchen a few times to try to make sure I get to the dishes first. I should strap you to the chair.
No, you just want to strap me down to things.
Now I can. It's a hobby. So, Nick mentions only the legal ones. Yes, thank you very much. We'll talk more about that. Nick also shares, I love doing laundry. Noel, there was earlier someone mentioning Obar. I think Obar is more a passion than a hobby, which is
Ooh.
the next question I wanted to ask. When does something become a passion and not just a hobby?
I don't think it's a dichotomy. I think that some hobbies are passions,
Mhm.
and then not all passions. No, sorry, not all hobbies are passions, but then at some point, all passions were hobbies.
Mm.
I guess that's like how I would spell that out.
I feel that way too.
Noel's asking, what hobby did you guys start but eventually gave up kasi nagsawa?
Mm.
I think we stopped pretending to like to go to the beach. I mean, like, it's okay. But then I think we realized early on, it's like, we're really not beach people.
I was gonna say boy.
Oh.
Because we did try
That's true,
getting
though. We
into
tried
that.
it. We tried it.
And it was fun, but it didn't latch on.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. And then for me, musical instruments. It's
Mhm.
like, at one point, because the piano, at one point, like every other kid our age, it was the recorder,
Mhm.
the bamboo flute. Um, yeah. And then, I don't know. I don't know what other hobbies I've given up.
I think I'll have to state making comics.
Hmm.
Although it's having a resurgence, I'm starting to feel like I should create
Make
something
something.
again. I feel that itch. But I did give up on that at some point.
Mitch says yung coloring books. Yeah, remember that big adult coloring book phase?
I never got into that.
No, I didn't either. But then, like, so many people got into
And
it.
a lot more got into the digital version.
Well, because
the-
it's so much easier.
and diba, I touched the number, I touched the color.
Yeah, it's super fun. Although recently, like my mom got into those paint by number kits
Mhm,
because she got a few as Christmas gifts.
and they
Many
look
years
awesome
ago.
afterwards.
I
They
know.
really-
She actually like, wow, mom, these are great. So
Noel
it's never too late.
mentions also musical instrument. Yuri mentions baking. Nikki mentions istendering and
Bumbling a hobby. Only if you derive pleasure
mhm,
and are not competitive about it. If we're looking at the Wikipedia reference
Yeah.
earlier, but as long as you derive pleasure, it can become a hobby.
and then
Uh,
what else? I'm trying to think of what else was because I can't count tennis or swimming because I was more competitive than hobbies for those.
Oh my god, I had a summer of trying to learn tennis. I didn't
was-
want to. We
I
just got
was-
signed up for
I was
classes.
mean at tennis.
Define mean.
There was always a comment na ano, when they block, parang aray. Kasi I really had a very strong backhand.
My problem is that and you know how in tennis when it hits the wrong part of the racket, then it's like a wong,
Mhm.
and then it's gonna fly.
Mm.
I've gotten so many balls on the roof, and this was Celebrity Sports Plaza where it was like the tennis was this elevated area with a high fence, and then beyond the fence was the swimming pool, and I still got a ball in the swimming pool.
That for me was badminton.
Badminton.
Because of my tennis, nakasanayan sa tennis,
Yeah.
I always played badminton wrong.
Because it's a different strength.
And, if it's too strong, pangit yung ano sa badminton. And I've had a few, when I swung, natama ko yung racket sa ground. So,
Oh my god. Okay, now the competitive Tindering, and then Noel's like, he doesn't derive pleasure in Tinder. Maybe he'll try Facebook dating. I don't think Facebook dating is going to be a step up, Noel. I think it's a very low denominator there. Yeah. It's still around, no? That weird feature, that
I never got
dating
it.
thing. Oh, obviously. I mean, like, it came out. We're together. and-
yeah, but
It
wasn't
wasn't
it
fun.
an automated rollout?
No.
They
you had to
selected.
opt in,
Ah,
and then you can only see people who have opted in.
okay.
So it's very specific.
Ako naman, I was thinking there'd be some sort of something. So
It's
I
like
never,
location sharing. Well, probably because also then our statuses weren't declared as single. Then
yeah. So they
the
skipped
app
us
was
na.
not motivated to sell to us.
That makes sense. Nikki says, Facebook dating is awful. So we will have an episode on Facebook dating, and Nick can be our guest.
Oh my god. And Tindering and bumbling.
Mitch shares, Nick, for a short period, we had this judgmental Tinder phase where we'd have a friend who is into Tinder. They Then she calls us kung okay ba yung match niya. So kami nagsasabi kung go left or no right.
Oh my gosh. But I
Sorry,
appreciate
go right,
friends.
I know left pala. Sorry.
We appreciate friends who weigh in on your Tinder choices.
I think that's always, that's fine as long as you think and you keep in mind they're probably doing the same to you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's the app experience. It was designed that way. So what can you do, right? Where we still maintain profiles, but then it's like, hey, you want to play board games? And then people
I
try.
recently had one who was like, oh, cool games. And I'm like, oh, really? What do you play?
That's,
Monopoly. And I'm like,
that's
really?
not so bad.
Yeah, it's like, really? Which one? Silence.
You intimidate them away.
I don't intimidate them away. I
Intimidate
intimidate
them
them
away.
away.
We're very cranky on social because even the whole what do you play that's like the equivalent of drag drawing like putting your thumb at your sword in a tick and then it's like out of the hilt
Okay,
now.
first of all, I'm not like that. Unless they open with, I love snakes and ladders. One, fight na yan. That's like war.
why
It's
are you
like,
why are you extra lasal? Yeah?
like, I'm sorry.
That's war na. Wow, dude, pare.
Kasi naman, snakes and ladders is not a game. Okay. Of course, people are still talking about social media networks. Urim, I'm sorry, a lot of the ones being mentioned are not for you.
Yes, as a heterosexual man, these are not your apps.
Yes.
You're gonna. Don't. Are we back? I think we're back now. Your comments are breaking the stream. That's it. That's what I think. What's happening?
Hmm. Yeah, it's been happening again. It could be a sign that we should try to limit our episodes to 30-minute episodes and we start a new one. So there are multiple episodes in a night.
No, the logistics are gonna be so painful.
This is episode 202-A. Okay. Yes, we're back. What do we? Where do we bring this conversation then?
Not back, apparently.
Hmm. What?
How do I live with you? How am I quarantined with you? Hi, it must be love. Oh, Mommy Owl and her kids love Nine Lives. Oh, that's so nice. I'm glad you super enjoy the game. It's super cute.
There is a Nine Lives comic, just so you know. You might want to try to find it online. I forgot.
It's at the website.
Webtoons or something.
Yeah,
I
yeah, but
forgot the site.
you can link to it probably from the Facebook. But they have an official webcomic
Yes.
featuring the Nine Lives cats. Okay.
Any other hetero dating apps I should know? Since this is about hobbies, we can't answer that right now.
Especially because it's about hetero apps. I don't know. I mean, like, because even dating apps, weren't was this we weren't quite single in that period when the apps super
Yeah.
boomed. So like a lot of these things, like we've never tried
Because
Tinder.
when we were single,
We've never tried-
when I was single and you were not, the world was still the websites and
Yes,
the apps.
it was Guys for
Guys
Men.
Pinoy G.
No,
What is it? No, there was that other site.
Downlink.
Yeah, I think it's down. Oh, damn it.
Look at all the success that we had on dating
No.
sites. Okay, so yeah, so things like Tinder, Bumble, Hornet, Scruff.
Hmm.
A lot of these we never even tried. So there
Mitch
was that.
mentions I QA tester for Grinder.
BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Noel mentions try Snapchat. Planet Romeo. There you go. That's what's the other side.
But that was just that because they bought Guys for Men,
Yeah.
and then everybody on Guys for Men was forced into Planet Romeo, and it was like, what is this bright blue interface? I miss my dull gray website.
I will warn you though, Urim. Not all supposedly hetero-focused dating apps cater only to hetero.
Yeah, that's true. There because there's more. If they can widen their market, then it's good
Yeah,
for them.
many still are cross-platform,
Cross gender, cross soji,
cross-spectrum. I guess
cross
that's the best word.
spectrum. Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay, so going to wrapping up hobbies, um, we talked about hobbies we stopped. We talked about hobbies we started with.
So what do you want to get into?
I guess the close is:
What do
are
you want to
there,
get into,
are there
Joby?
things that you think you'd like to explore? Hobbies that you haven't yet tried, or you tried before, but you parang maybe it's time to try diving into it. You know, like for example,
Not diving.
oh, we tried that, but it wasn't a hobby
I
thing.
can't swim.
It was an activity thing. Diba? We went that the helmet thing.
Oh, the yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking diving, going underwater. You were thinking diving,
Diving
high
off
diving.
like no.
I wouldn't mind high diving.
Like that video where we're all like, who am I in that video? The one who takes one look over and says, nope, I'm going back down.
But going back, like I want to get into digital painting because
Okay.
it looks so fascinating.
So we have to
and,
buy you an iPad.
Well, that's a part of my long term goals. I got a laptop. Oh,
Because the last one was really becoming unworkable. It was like super annoying me. And then the moment Toby moved all his stuff to this new computer, he has like an SSD that's 500 gig and then a SATA drive that's 1 tera. The terabyte, the SATA drive is almost full. It's like, what the hell, Toby?
It's 30.
You pack rat.
It's 30 gig left.
It's like, what is all this stuff you've moved? Okay, and then
Yes, I'm thinking of getting Procreate. The annoying thing is my iPad Air 2 is too old to have the pencil. And for the pencil, then you need the newer iPad. But then I will admit, the one JP had this try seemed nice because the weight seemed okay, the dimensions.
oh, that
seemed
was like
good.
it was
a
Galaxy
Android.
Tab,
Yeah,
right?
it was Android. It wasn't iOS. But then you're right. I will want my games and stuff.
Yeah, you've invested so much into your iOS environment. You're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Nikki had a funny story about, remember meeting a friend in 2008 at Cubao X. He goes like, hey, I think I see you in PR. And he's like, Power Rangers? And that, Nikki, is a classic Nikki answer, I will say. Okay. um. So, yeah. Noel keeps offering to lend you his tablet so that you can try it. I think he knows. It's just a question of making him buy it. Okay.
Okay.
There's no denying he recognizes the value in getting a new tablet. He just
Okay.
has to do it.
I always feel bad kasi what happens to the old device. I don't want to just
Let's
dispose of
donate it to like some student who is difficulty learning.
But they're
in
not
this-
functioning as perfectly. So parang ayoko naman mainis naman sila with the thing they inherit. Sila naman yung, nakakais naman to, libre, tapos di gumagana. So buy them na lang a new one.
That's a Lasallian answer to this
No!
problem.
It's not. It's
I'll just buy them a new one. Your charity has to be competitive charity. I will admit one thing. If there's one thing I want to do, like more as a hobby, that I've kind of fallen out of, I guess, is I want to open myself to karaoke again.
mm.
Like it's not something I have always super enjoyed,
Mhm.
but I would like to think I can sing decently.
I get
So-
nervous with karaoke.
Yun nga eh.
I always feel it's competitive, even if I know it's not.
Well, okay, there is that value.
So
and then
I
and then my training in life is that at one point everything is a competition. But I can still find fun out of it.
Mm.
But that's like something I still want to do, and I don't know what environment that'll be, because it does get intimidating when it's a large group of you, and then like, oh, everybody's singing, and then like, okay, everybody's singing really well and choosing really challenging songs, and then I'll just like, I have a list of maybe 5 staples that I'm comfy with, which I will check if it is in the library 20 million times before I decide to put any of them in. So I don't know. But yeah, it's something I would like want to think about. There is an Apple program you can turn in your old gadget and
Yes,
get
I
a
did
voucher
that
for a new
before.
one. Yes.
I did that for this previous one. So I can. I just have to decide when.
We should start making this interesting and
I
start
don't like.
taking bets on like
I don't
when
like.
Toby will change his device.
I don't like kasi installment eh.
So you'd rather pay it all at once.
Yeah, kasi I hate seeing parang oh may utang ka pa.
Wow.
No, it's kasi daya naman ng installment, 'di ba? Kasi in the end you're like paying extra thousand.
If you got it on zero interest and you're not paying extra, but you're stuck in a fixed payment scheme.
And then you'll forget and then they'll charge you extra.
Well, if you watch your bills like a hobby, then you're not gonna miss. That's why we have Wine app, you know.
Okay, fine. I'll work on that.
Yeah, Nikki agrees with you though. He doesn't like installments. I don't mind installments because then it just becomes part of my plan. I like balance. I don't balance a checkbook. I balance my credit card.
I get so annoyed kasi like I always get confused with the cutoff points and the billing points. Like I'll pay for this and then it's supposed to be installments. When I look at my bill, wala pa siya. And then later bila na lang ang laki-laki kasi nga doon pa lang pumasok. And then I feel like you're cheating me or something. So I'd rather just pay and get it over with.
Toby habad, the tahanan habad.
No.
Noel is now saying before June ends. Ooh, that's a very aggressive bet.
Grabe naman to.
I think that's a very aggressive bet, Noel. I don't think it's going to happen yet. Any other takers for when Toby's going to replace this iPad? June? Ooh, that feels very near.
Mga 2 years from now pa.
But possible.
Kasi I'm still with my new laptop.
And then his monitor had not been working even before the start of the pandemic, and the whole time in pandemic he's been suffering through his monitor.
Disassembling it every other weekend. Banging it till it works.
Mitch clarifies, Noel, anong year yung June?
That's true. That's accurate.
I guess, and then maybe the only other thing might be like I don't know, upping my coffee game. Maybe like I've always been just a basic
Getting your
brewer.
own brewing thing or a machine.
Upgrading the machine, getting full espresso functions, and like make more creations.
So that would mean we'd need a cabinet for all that. Because you want to keep those properly arranged, like the different drip stuff.
No, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I just want a bigger machine.
Okay, akala ko naman parang
There's a
you
machine
have-
I've been eyeing, but I can't. I don't know if I can get it on installment. Because I get things on installment.
Okay, I can buy it for you now.
And this club and your friends.
No! It's just that, if anything happens to me, you don't have to worry about getting the money from the bank. It's there now. Anyway,
I have told Toby's mom my mafia joke about their income. She only laughed but could only agree.
buti nga I have stuff na in banks dati. I didn't trust the banks.
What is this?
Remember?
The miser and his money are soon parted.
Remember when we met, I did not really have a credit card.
Yeah.
See?
You only had the card from your mom. You didn't have your own credit card.
I did not have a credit card. I only had an ATM card. I did not have a checking account.
Yes. And now you have so many things.
Because I have everything in cash.
Now I'm gonna get you on insurance soon. We got close, guys. I let my agent pitch him, and then it hasn't panned out because it's so much.
Because
It's complicated.
because there's so much paperwork, I have to prove pa that we're together. Watch the show. Anyway, the topic is going everywhere, and I think we're almost about to hit
It
2 hours.
just shows that we're just having fun with all of you, and
Yes.
we enjoy our conversation despite the stream having hung at least twice tonight.
But we have more to look forward to for the rest of the week. Unfortunately,
It's a shorter Baduy Pride week.
Yes.
We don't have an episode tomorrow because we have a vampire game.
we
We have
also
an episode on Thursday. What are we doing on Thursday? Oh, I suddenly can't remember.
Thursday we are talking about time travel musings, and I believe this is a topic that Mitch sent in. The idea being, what historical events do you wish you have witnessed?
Man, I'm gonna bring up the planetary theory.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Ayun nga,
We'll
we'll talk about that
on
on Thursday. Yeah.
We won't have an episode this Friday because we're gaming again. But then Sunday will be another quarantine check-in week, number 64. So we hope you'll join us then.
It's also our end of May quarantine check-in. Guys, congratulations. We're almost at the end of another month of staying home.
Mhm. So we hope you'll join us. But for now, I guess we wrap up.
I'm not sure we're going to play the video again, but I think that's enough for tonight. So,
Oh, yay! And yes, Mitch mentioned, may duck pala siya sa dulo.
see, there's new layers of meaning in the video.
The duck is subliminal. But that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we hope you had a great time, because we did.
If you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill out the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. Thanks again to Mitch for always giving us new topics, including this one. You can follow us on Twitter, Altobi No Shade, RG Sunico.
This one wasn't Mitch.
This one? Oh, sorry, the hobby one was.
Yes.
Sorry, it was Noel and Kenny.
Noel and Kenny.
It was two people suggested the same topic on the same day, then we merged it. I'm
Yes.
sorry. But all the other topics for this week are Mitch.
I think like at least a fourth of all our topics ever are Mitch.
No.
More fun.
More like half. More like 60%. Okay. Follow us on Twitter, RG Sunico and Altobino Shade.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Oops. Oh, let's slow down. Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know what are your hobbies these days? Have you picked up new hobbies during the quarantine? And what's on your hobby to-do list? Let's all share. And be sure to subscribe for notifications whether on Facebook or YouTube so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby. And this is Baduy Pride.
This is a fist kiss.
Not DDS. Love you.